everyone, Tracy here with Paper Closet Designs, and today's video I want to show you how I assemble my 3D paper roses. So I have the full rose, and then I also have a rosebud, and so I'm going to show you how to put these together. It's not as difficult as you might think. You need a few tools, but you can do this, I promise. It's not that hard. So the first thing that you're going to need is your paper. So let's talk about our paper type. These two that I've made were cut from 80 weight cardstock. 65 is actually my favorite preferred cardstock. I think it's very flexible and it looks great, but I didn't have any, so this was out of the 80. This rose that I did right here, this was made from shimmer paper, and it is 65 weight, and I just purchased that at Michael's, I believe. So 65 to 80, I wouldn't go any heavier than 80, and I wouldn't do copy paper. So let's move these back over here. The next thing that you're going to need is a glue gun. Very important. I assemble all of my flowers with a glue gun. If you're doing them on a stem, you will want a bamboo kebab skewer, whatever you want to call these, and you can just pick these up at your grocery store. They're super cheap. There's like 100 of them for a couple bucks. You'll want an owl if you've got it. Now this is optional. This is for turning the flowers, and if you don't have one of these, you can use your bamboo skewer again. And then you'll want your file, and optional is ink pads. On these, I did go ahead and ink the edges, and I'm going to show you how to do that. On the shimmered paper, I did not. So it's completely up to you what look you're going for, and you don't have to do that. So then let's jump into the files. So your file includes the petals first, and there's 5 of them. There's 5 shapes. So you'll have a small, you'll have 2 medium, and you'll have 2 large. These are actually the medium. So you have a small, 2 mediums, and 2 larges, and I haven't inked that one yet because I'm going to show you how to do it. You will also have 2 sepals, a large and a small, and 1 leaf, and you can make multiple leaves if you want your flower to have a couple of leaves, or you can completely leave the leaf off depending on what you're doing with your arrangement. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to show you really quickly how I ink these first. I've got them all done, excuse me. I've got them all done except for this last one. And I just use a stamp pad and a makeup sponge, but you can also use alcohol ink or chalk, whatever you have on hand. And all I do is kind of pick up some ink and I ink the edges. And don't worry too much about getting down in that little groove. Excuse me, I've been fighting a little bit of a cold, and so we'll see how I do with this video. So you're just gonna keep inking around those petals, and then because this is gonna be seen from all sides, you'll want to flip it over. Excuse me, you'll want to flip it over and do the same thing on the back side. And you're going to do this, if you do it, you're going to do it on all 5 petals. And again, you don't have to do this. It depends on what color you're doing it and what look you want. I kind of wanted these to look like those baby pink roses where they start off pink, but they kind of fade into the middle. You could do it as a piece rose too, with peach on here or yellow. Or you could just do it out of a solid color. Okay, so once that's done, then you're going to do the same thing, if you want to, with your sepal and your leaf. And I've already done that on all of these, but I wanted to show you how I do my leaf because I do it a little bit different than you've seen. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this and kind of fold it right down the middle. There's no score lines, and it doesn't need to be perfect. And then I'm going to just kind of bend this in a couple of places And that kind of gives it that creased look of your leaf. Then I'm going to, before I ink the edges, I'm going to kind of run my, my makeup sponge over those creases. Again, this is a totally optional step. It just depends on the look you're going for. And then I'm going to do it on the back or on the edges. You can go heavy or light, whatever look you like. Don't worry about this piece right down here because it's not really going to be seen. One other tool that you'll need that I forgot is if you're going to put it on a stem, you'll need some floral tape. So you can just get that at, again, Michael's, Hobby Lobby, any of your craft stores. Okay, I'm doing this really, really quick. All right, so now we've got that ready to go. If you are going to do a full flower, you will want all 5 petals. If you're going to do a rosebud, you just need the small petal and one of the medium petals. That's all you're going to need. So we're going to start with that one first. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to take your owl, or if you don't have one, take your bamboo stick, and you're just going to fold all of these petals up. You'll notice there's a little hole in there. That's for your stick when you're ready to assemble it. If you're going to put it on a box, you can just ignore that. It's small enough it won't be seen. Okay, now we're going to take this, and on this first one, on the little one, we are going to really curve those in. And you're trying to not bend them, but curve them. So use your finger, use your thumb, and that owl, or the bamboo stick. Let me show you one with the bamboo stick. I don't really, the bamboo stick works. I like the owl a little bit better because I think it's, when it's not quite as long and it's a little bit sturdier. But you can do it if you don't have this. And I just bought mine. I've had it for forever. But I think I got it at Michael's with the quilling stuff, or maybe even with the lace. But you can get them on Amazon or just about anywhere. You just want a real thin one. Okay, so once you get that one kind of going, get those petals really curved, especially on the rosebud. If you're doing just the rosebud, you want those really tight. So I'm going to go over and do them one more time. Okay, so the trickiest part of this is getting it started. Once you get it started, it's good to go. So we're going to take the sharp end, or the pointy end, of our popsicle, our bamboo shoot, our bamboo shish kebab, and we're going to push that in. And then I'm going to take my hot glue, and I'm going to put a little bit of glue around there just to hold it. My glue gun has seen better days. And I actually use the low melt glue. You can use whichever one you want, low or hot. Just remember, they do get hot. Okay, now we're going to find the leaf that has the most curl to it. And we are going to curl it up on top of itself. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue on that side and roll that around. This is where nails help, or get those silicone thumb guards. And we're just going to kind of hold that there till it dries. Okay. Once you've got it and it's kind of dry, we're going to lift it up to the top, and we're going to take the petal that is across from it and wrap it around and glue it on that side. So let me show you again. I took the petal that was across from this one. Oh, it's come undone. There we go. And bring it up. And now we're going to put glue on the 2 edges there. And just fold it up around there. And you're going to kind of want to hold the bamboo stick while you're doing this, because it has a tendency to want to flop around until you get a couple of layers on here. Okay, once that dries, then we're just going to start adding the petals around. And this time we're going to go in order. So I'm going to do this one first, and I'm going to just add some glue right to there. Trying to work around the camera and hoping that you can see everything as I do this. And I'm warning you now, this might be a little bit of a long video. I don't like doing long videos, but this one might be. Let's take that next one and let's wrap it around, and you can see the bud is already starting to form. Okay, and then we're going to take this last one. And I'm kind of pulling it out a little bit so it's not right on top of the other petals. Okay, we're going to set that aside and let it cool down for a minute. We're going to take this next one and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to turn everything up, all the petals up. And then we're going to take our owl and we're just going to curve those edges in. Just like so. And this is why I don't like the paper that's any heavier than 80, because it doesn't really fold very well. And you're actually not folding it, you're just training it. You're kind of breaking those fibers up in the paper and you're training it to curve. And so that tight paper is a little too thin, it tears, and that anything over 80 just doesn't curl quite as well. 65 is perfect. Okay, we're going to take our bamboo skewer again, and we're going to poke it through that hole. I'm going to add just a little bit of glue, and then push it the rest of the way up. And now this time we're going to fold the leaves in a circle. We're going to bring them around in a circle, but I'm going to start with the opposite side of whatever I did. So this was my last one. I think I'm going to start with this one right here. And this time, instead of gluing, well, no, because we're still working on the bud. Sorry, I forgot, we're still working on the bud. I'm going to glue those edges again. But I'm going to not push them all the way in. I don't know if you can see this. And we're going to work all the way around the flower. This does take a little bit of practice, but once you get the hang of it, they'll go really quickly, and you can do a whole arrangement in just a little bit of time. But you'll understand why you want a glue gun, because if you were trying to do this with liquid glue, you could see what a pain it would be to do this with your liquid glue. Okay. Kind of hold while you're letting things dry, and it doesn't take a lot of glue. You will want to make sure that your glue, even out of your glue gun, is a clear melt glue. Some of them kind of have a yellow tinge to them, so you want the clear one. I have that right there, a little bit of glue right there. Okay, now our bud is finished, the petal part anyway. And if you're kind of getting a little bit of a square down here on the bottom, just kind of play with those, push them in a little bit. It's not going to matter a whole lot because they are going to be covered up. but we don't want a square bottom. You kind of want a rounded bottom. Okay, next up, we are going to find our larger sepal. So you have two sizes. You have a larger and a small. And the larger one, we're going to take our owl again, and we're just going to kind of curl everything up. Add some glue to that. Stick our little bamboo shoot in there. And then for the bud, we're actually going to take these and glue them up around the bud. I'm going to just you will need to hold that a little bit so it dries. And because buds are pretty tight, we're doing this all really tight like. Okay, and if you want to, and you've got some little loose ends, you can actually, I glued mine pretty tight, but you can fold some of those down if you would like, just a little bit. There we go. And I wouldn't do it on all of them, but you want it to look like it's getting ready to open, right? Yeah, that's pretty good. Then you're going to take your smaller sepal, and this time you're going to roll everything down away from you. And I'm getting a pretty good curve on these. Again, insert that. Let's put a little bit of glue on there. And there is the beginning of your rosebud. Now I'm going to show you how to finish that and put the leaf on it here in a minute. So that is the rosebud. To do the full flower, you're going to do the same thing, but I kind of layer mine first. So I start with the smallest piece, and then I want a medium, and then I want a large, and then I want a medium, and then I want a large. And because this is a full flower, we're not going to fold that centerpiece quite as tight. We still want the middle pretty tight, but not quite as much as the other one was. So you'll want a couple of them, like the very center you want closed, but the rest of them, we want it to look like it's starting to open a little bit. And no flower is going to look exactly the same. They don't in nature. They're not going to in your craft room either. And you want them to be different fullnesses. So some you're going to want a little tighter than others. Okay, this last one I'm going to do really tight. And the one across from it I'm going to do kind of tight. Okay, your bamboo skewer. Let's poke it in. Put some glue around it. And then we're going to find whichever one we've done the tightest, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to, let's see, that didn't get any glue on it. Fold that over. And make that little cone shape. Now it's sticking to my finger. And then bend it up. This one I'm going to actually, okay, then we're going to take the one across from it that we've done kind of tight. We're going to put glue on those two edges. Just hold it for a second till it dries. And then we're just going to work our way around again. Whoops, that one didn't dry. This probably is not going to be my best flower since I'm trying to hurry. You can see that I'm pulling that off just a little bit. And it is kind of starting to wiggle around on my stick, which is totally normal and okay. Ouch. Yep. You know why crafters don't have fingerprints? Because of the glue gun. It's true. All right, let's fold that last one up. All right, and now we're going to just do the same thing we've been doing with all of the petals. So we're going to take, whoops, let's dry that. Maybe I didn't get quite enough glue on there. Okay. I'm gonna hold. Yep, so we're gonna set that aside and we're gonna start with the medium. And we're gonna do the same thing. We're going to fold everything up. And then we're going to start turning those petals in. I'm gonna go a little bit tight, but not super tight, because we want it to start looking like it's opened. And you don't even want all the leaves to be the same, all the petals on the, you don't want them to all be folded exactly alike, right? Very, very few things in nature are 100% symmetrical. So the less symmetrical you can get it, the more real it's actually gonna look. Okay, go ahead and poke that in there. Now this was the medium. Oops, push that too far. And now I'm actually going to put glue down a little bit lower instead of right on the edges like I did with the petal, with the, what am I trying to say, with the closed flower. I'm going to do them a little bit lower this time so that it's looking a little bit more opened. Except I think I missed right there. And these just take practice, like I've said. Your first one or two are not going to be perfect, but you're going to love them anyway. I've been doing these for a long time. And even now, sometimes I get one, I think, oh, that one was not as good as this one. And it's okay. Kind of try and keep that bottom from going square. Yep, no fingerprints. And I'm gonna kind of start to hurry a little bit through this, so you'll have time to do your own instead of just sit here and watch me. If you need to do a little bit higher to get some of those to stick, that's okay. But you'll notice already that it's a little bit more opened than the rosebud was. Okay, I'm going to set that aside and we're going to get the next petal, the next set of petals. And this time we're going with a large one. And we're going to fold in again. Just trying to get glue on my fingers so it's not rolling quite as well. Some a little more tighter than others. And then I'm going to take the tops, and not on all of them, but on a couple of them, and bend them back. Or, you know, train them to go back. Okay, this one needs a little bit more of a curve. Okay, let's put the skewer in there. A little bit of glue around it. And now we want to start folding these up, but we want to make sure that they're not right on top of them. So you'll notice this leaf or petal is a little bit offset from that one. And now, instead of doing the edges, I'm going to start putting glue down there on the bottom. And just kind of gluing them on the bottom. And we're going to go all the way around. A little bit farther up. Kind of pinch them if you need to give it a little bit of form. And like I said, they're all going to be a little bit different. So if you're working on one with me, don't worry if yours doesn't look just exactly like mine. It's okay. Because mine doesn't look exactly like mine, right? Okay. These make really fun flowers for vases. You could put them on top of a box, in the front of a bag. And if you would do that, you just don't use the skewer. I'm going really fast, so some of these are not sticking maybe the best way that they need to be. I'm going to kind of just hold everything there for a second. And then we're going to start with the medium one. It goes on next. And this time I'm going to go around and fold some of them in, and some of them I'm going to actually roll out. And on some of them, I'm going to do both. So those are both in. That one's both out. We're going to do in on this one, out on that one, in, and then do some tops. I'm going to start doing, I think, most of the tops. Doing them kind of backwards. You still want, on this piece, you still want some pretty good curves on it, but you don't want them all going the same direction. Move that glue so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, so kind of like that. Let's put it on the skewer. Turn it so that they're not all matching up, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to put glue on the bottom up to the middle, and then press and hold. And just work your way around. Again, if you need to put a little bit like right in there to give it some form, you can. I don't like a whole lot of glue on these last couple of layers. but you might need to add a little bit. That one's already on there, kind of. And I'm sorry, I keep pulling this out of the camera view so I can see it, and then you can't see it. And you'll notice by doing the medium here and then going back behind it with a large, doing the large and then going back behind it with the medium, how it makes it so they're not all even, which again, in nature, they're not. And so that's why I do it that way. You don't have to do it that way. You could do them in size order if you wanted to. Okay, we've got one more to add. And mine really are. There we go. Kind of squish them down at the bottom. Keep that bottom from forming a square. Okay, and then we're going to take our last one, and this is the outside one. So I'm not going to do quite as much curling. I mean, we still want it to have some curl to it. I'm going to do more going towards the outside than I am going forward. Forward. Whoops, just move the whole desk. And then again, I'm gonna get those tops so that they're kind of bent back. Then the last thing I'm going to do on this is when I bend it up, I'm going to kind of use my thumb and make like a little well, or it's hard to show you, but just kind of push in like that so that it kind of curves those a little bit, because we didn't curl them as much with the owl. So but they still, we don't want flat, we don't want flat petals. Okay, one more time, let's put that in there. Those holes, the skewers should pop just right through them, but not all skewers are the same width, so that you might need to push it a little bit more. Okay, one last time, make sure those petals don't all line up, that they're kind of off-centered. And then if you really want it opened, you can leave those there, or you can just put a little tab of glue down in the bottom to kind of pull them up. Just depends on how opened you want that flower. Now, while we're doing this last layer, I think the large petals, I'll have to look at the file. I think I've made them about 4 inches wide. You can make them bigger if you want a bigger flower. You can make them smaller if you want a smaller flower. However, you want to keep everything in proportion. So if you're going to change the size, group everything and then resize them, the leaves, the sepals, and everything, so that they're all in proportion. Otherwise, you're going to get some really giant outside leaves and some really small inside petals, or vice versa. And it's just not going to come together, and you're not going to be as happy with it. I'm just kind of holding those for a second so that they'll grab. Once that's all done, you can go back and look at that and see if any of those leaves need to, or petals, excuse me, if you want to turn them out a little bit, or if they need something. I'm not going to mess too much with that. I think most of those, for the most part, look pretty good. Like I said, I'm doing this really fast. Okay, so once you have all of your petals in place the way that you want them, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to take our large sepal And we're going to curve everything up. But then because this is open, I'm going to take a couple of those and kind of just turn the tips out. I think I'll do it on 3 of them. Okay, let's put that in there. Put some glue on there. You'll notice the more layers we have, the more glue is showing up around that bamboo stick, and so it's not going to pop off. And then I don't really do much with that. I just kind of, if you've got some that are really wild, you might want to put a little drop of glue. Like this one, I think might need a little drop. Kind of push it up. But for the most part, I just kind of let them hang there naturally. Okay, then we're going to take the smaller sepal, same thing as the flower or the bud. We're just going to turn those down. Bring that up, and you don't want the sepals matching. You want them off-centered. Just bring it all the way so that they're right there together. Can you see that? Okay, to finish this off, you will take your florist tape. And I don't know if you've ever used florist tape or not, but it's not really sticky until you start stretching it. And that releases the wax and the stickiness in it, and that's how it works. So you're going to kind of want to stretch it out a little bit. And then just start right up here underneath your sepals. And you're going to twist it around your skewer. But the secret to this is you pull as you twist. Otherwise, okay, don't pull that hard. Otherwise, it doesn't stick very well and it'll start to unwind. So just twist and pull, twist and pull, twist and pull. If you're going to add a leaf to this, go down about as far as you want for the leaf, tear it off, and then you'll take your leaf and this little stem piece that is kind of actually ugly. We're going to put some glue on it. We're just going to glue it to the stick and hold it for a minute. You're actually going to want to let this dry. Don't try forming it just yet. Just let it dry to the stick. And then come back with your floral tape. I always stretch mine to get started. And then just start wrapping around there again. And you'll hide that little seam or that little ugly part of your leaf. We're just going to stretch and pull. I'm going to stop right there. You'd cut your dowel off at whatever length you want it. And then kind of bend your leaf. And that is all there is to these 3D flowers. So I hope you'll give them a try. They're not hard. They do take a little bit of time and they do take a little bit of practice, but I promise once you've got them down, you are going to love them and your imagination is just going to go crazy. I have some other 3D flowers too, so I'll get those up going here pretty soon. You can do a whole arrangement. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please hit subscribe down below, ring the bell so you don't miss any of my videos. Give me a thumbs up and have a great day.